Channel open. Welcome back to WeeklyTrek, a Star Trek news podcast presented by TrekCore.com. I am your host, Alex Perry.
What's today's date? The date.
Today's show was recorded on January 2nd, 2026, and is current through Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, so beware of spoilers. Alright, let's get into the show.
Good day, Voyager, and welcome to A Briefing with Neelix. It's a catchy title, isn't it?
WeeklyTrek is a regular news show covering the biggest stories from the Star Trek franchise. We are in the Alex Kurtzman era of Star Trek with the 12th television show and the 14th movie currently in production, and merchandise continuing to fill the Bajoran wormhole. So stick with me and I'll help you sort the real facts from lots of the Dominion propaganda that you'll find online. And this is our Year in Review episode for 2025 as we close out another year of Star Trek. Let's talk about the year that was and look ahead at what it all might mean for 2026. I hope everyone has had a fabulous holiday season, however you have chosen to celebrate, and Happy New Year as well. But I can't look back on the year that was alone, and my guest this week is returning guest Ross Webster. Ross, welcome back to WeeklyTrek.
Hello, Alex. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for having me back. Always excited to talk about Star Trek.
All right, let's dive straight in to talking about the year's top stories.
There's a war going on, and I'm a reporter.
All right, Ross, so as we've done in the past on these episodes, you've picked three things, I've picked three things to talk sort of, like things to discuss from 2025. We may not get through all of the big things from 2025, and we'll do just like a, hey, is there anything we missed at the end, kind of thing. But this would just be a fun way for us to reflect on the year in Star Trek that was, and then also maybe think about what we're excited about for 2026. So I've got my three things, you've got your three things. Why don't you kick us off? Give us one of your, I don't quite want to say highlights of 2025, because I know one of the things on my list is definitely a real low light. So one of your things to discuss from 2025 Star Trek.
Okay, I think 2025 Star Trek was not just characterized by stuff we saw on screen. Actually, there was a lot that was produced. There was a lot of art, there was lots of ideas, there was lots of comics, there were novels, there was merchandise to fill the Bajoran wormhole. And one of the things I know that really gets me excited is the Star Trek comics and the Star Trek comic universe. I'm a big Star Trek comics guy, and I am very happy to reread old stuff, reread new stuff, compare, contrast, see what's going on. And one of the series that came out this year was a very fun series called Star Trek Red Shirts.
Yes.
And it's IDW produced. They're producing all the current Star Trek comics, written by Cantwell. And it's essentially a TOS, 5-part TOS story from the perspective of the red shirts on the mission. And it's a dangerous operation. I don't want to give any spoilers away because it's a really good read.
Yes.
And a lot of it is based on the idea that this is a surprise. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. But it's called Red Shirts, and you get a lot of what the Red Shirts are famous for in Star Trek, which is that one thing. And it's various. It can be bloody. It can be surprising, occasionally borderline humorous, in the sort of the way that only the inevitability of death can be sometimes. And it's just such a fun take on the Red Shirts trope. They've got a mission, they've got dedication, they've got Star Trek ideals. They're on a planet, there's a spy, there's the Klingons, there's Romulans. Everything's going on. And it's just done with such good humour and with such novelty. It's just really worth a look. You should have a look at the covers, if nothing else. Check out the covers for issues 1 to 5. They're all skeletons wearing classic TOS outfits. And there's a sort of a hint in each cover as how is a person going to pass away? How are they going to get got in that episode? And it took me a while to realise there were clues in the cover, and you could actually see a bit what was going on. That's very exciting. Some of the variants themselves are really nice. A foil variant just arrived. Many thanks. There's other variants of sort of bloody variants in various states of pre and post mortem of these red shirts doing their job. But one of the things I really thought was exciting is at the beginning. You know how in comics they often have like a list of the heroes in that comic, and you get like the alias and the superpowers and a little bit of the history. They do that for this, and you get a list of all the red shirts that make an appearance in the issue. But as you go on, they start crossing them out. So you get there and they're deceased. KIA. They're not there anymore. And so you can sort of see as it goes on, it whittles down to the last few, and will they complete the mission, and what will happen, how will they do it. It's really good. It's really well done. And it's a refreshing sort of look at Star Trek comics because it's not based on a crew you already know. It's not based on any characters you already know. They're all unique characters. There's no one who you recognize. One of the characters is called Webster, which I was very excited by. No relation. But it's exciting because you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how things are going to play out. And it is exciting. And they do that fun job of making it interesting, exhilarating, sad sometimes, but also thrilling. And honestly, the ending, I did not see the ending coming, which I think is great for any story you read. You want to be really like blasted by the end, really surprised, really interested, and I really was. So a shout out to Chris Cantwell who wrote it. The artwork is beautiful as well, all the way through. And it's just a really interesting way of looking at the red shirts. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so there's not Trek ranks, so we're not doing duplicates, but so I got you to tell me what your 3 picks were in advance, and you told me this was one of your picks, and I had not read it. I bought them, but I had not read it yet. So just like 45 minutes before we recorded, I read them all. So Red Shirts is right at the top of my mind because I literally just finished reading.
What did you think of Red Shirts?
I loved it. I think the one thing you undersold is it's pretty bleak. I mean, it is.
Oh God, it is.
It is.
I mean, they're only known. The one thing they're known for, you get it. You get that a lot.
Yes. It does not. It does not skimp on the red shirts of the red shirt.
No,
like sort of thing.
And some of it's quite gory as well.
Oh, it's extremely gory.
One scene, I was like, I actually gasped. Oh my God, I can't believe we're looking at this. This is gross.
Well, and it kind of tells you what it is from the very first page, because like the very first panel, so there's no spoilers because it's just like the moment you open the comic, you're going to see this. Mm-hmm. The very first panel is a red shirt getting half of his face ripped off by a Mugato.
Yeah.
So, like, it very quickly tells you what it is,
and no holds barred. You're seeing what's happening.
Yes,
and you also see
full detail.
Yeah, you see it viscerally, but also the emotional impact of that it has on the character.
Yes,
that I've been there, I've been damaged, I'm wounded, and this is going to impact me, and I'm going to carry this forward, and how I relate to my other Starfleet comrades. Yeah, it all plays out, and I think that's such a lovely way of like telling a story, but keeping it so themed that, it is gory, it is grim, but it's part of the story. It's part of what goes on.
Yeah, and I also did not see the twist at the end coming. I also like the way that they sort of surprised you along the way, like a character who is, you kind of think is going to be like the main character of of the whole thing, and then isn't.
Yeah, and that's not. And sometimes they do that in TV shows. They like to switch it up.
Yeah, like Ensign Connor from Discovery, where they took him to like the conventions and stuff, and then he dies.
He's going to be a big deal, and then he's not.
Yeah, right.
And they did that really well, I thought, because at the end of it, it's only who's left that you realise they were the main characters all along.
Right. Yes,
but only because they have survived.
Yeah, only because they made it through 5 issues. Yeah. So there's that, and it's also not an inconsequential story. I mean, it's a story about this group of junior security officers who have this specific mission, but it's an important mission. And even though there are only just some very light, brief cameos from established characters, one at the beginning, one in the middle, and then one at the end, like, it's still a story that, like, quote unquote, matters to the wider sort of Star Trek story. And so I thought it was incredibly well done. It's very different from your kind of usual Star Trek project. I mean, if you're someone who likes, I mean, it's not really horror. They released it around Halloween, which I think was a very good choice. It's not really sort of horror, but it is horrible.
It leans that way.
Yeah,
it leans that way.
Yeah. It's very gruesome.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yes, if you do have a week's weak stomach for some of that stuff, which I know I will confess I do for like films. I do the comic stuff doesn't bother me as much because it's a little.
I regret some of my other choices on this list then. Because
No, that's okay. No, that's okay because it was one of my favorite episodes of Strange New Worlds this season. So yeah, so I really liked it. I was very surprised by how much I liked it. Actually, I mean, I obviously kind of knew what it was going to be going in. You know, you pick up the first issue, or on my case, load the first issue on your Kindle, and like, you know, cover number 1 is a skeleton wearing a red shirt. It's like, all right, I know what I'm getting, and it's called Red Shirt, so like I know what I'm getting myself into here. But it is, for that, it is exceptionally well done.
Yeah, and I feel like I mean I read all the Star Trek comics that come out. They've just ended 2 of the ongoing series, which I was really sad about because I quite enjoyed those ongoing series. But they've kept momentum. IDW have kept momentum by producing these kind of series.
Yeah.
Another one that's out at the moment is the IDW Strange New Worlds series, The Seeds of Salvation, which is sort of a Cthulhu-esque sort of horror novel again. So sort of leaning into that sort of area, which I do appreciate again. So they're still producing really good stuff, and this for me was a real highlight because I just enjoyed it so much. And interestingly, my son really enjoyed it as well. He's like, well, this is horrible, I'd love to read a bit of this. And I was like, well, it's a Star Trek comic, so how bad could it? Can't twist him up too much, can it? It'll be okay. But he was really shocked by some of it, and he hasn't read the last issue yet. And I think I put a theory forward of what I thought was going to happen, and which I was completely wrong about. And now I'm interested to know what he thinks about the ending, and whether he'll be as shocked by it as I am, or whether he's really just reading it for the gruesome deaths.
Right. Have you read any of The Last Starship yet? The new one?
Yes, the new comic, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
How are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. It's not as fast. Red Shirts is really fast paced.
Yeah, right.
You trot through it really quickly. This is a lot more. It's a bit more slow paced, which I appreciate because that's what Star Trek is like. They're still building this world that you're in. They're still building this post-burn environment. I love the art. I love the art style. I will say that for it. I think it's really wonderful. There's so many characters in it, which I haven't really got my head around yet. And there's not a convenient little list at the beginning to tell you who everyone is. Or maybe there is a list at the beginning. I'll have to check that. I've probably got an issue right here somewhere. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it for what it is. It's been very popular as well. Second printing, which is very rare for a Star Trek comic to go. And I've picked up a copy of that second printing cover as well, because I'm a psychopathic completist.
You do not have to justify yourself with me, sir.
I'm enjoying it. It's interesting. It's got Agnes, the Borg Queen, as the main engineer.
Oh, really?
Is a wonderfully bizarre idea.
Yeah, I did not realize that. I thought the only returning character was Kirk.
No, he's not the only returning character. So she is the main engineer.
Wow.
So I definitely
I got to read this then.
Give it a look. It's worth it. I'm still not entirely sure why Kirk has come back. That's probably my only gripe with it. Like, that's
the mystery, isn't that the story? Like, isn't it you're going to find out by the end?
We know how he came back.
Yeah,
like because there's seeds of his return they're in Star Trek, aren't they?
Yes. I've not read The Last Starship, and I can probably tell you how. I can tell you how Kirk came back based off of Picard season 3 and, all of that.
Yes, you can. That's exactly what you can do.
Yeah. But I couldn't tell you why.
No, and I think that's probably the bit I'm sort of not getting my head around. Like, why?
Yeah.
Of all the things you could do, you could bring him back.
Yeah.
But why did you?
Right.
And they've talked about it a bit, but I think I'm waiting for Kirk to do something that only Kirk can do.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'll know why they brought him back to do that.
Yeah, I have to read that one. I'm not so good at reading comics where it's like I read one issue and then a month later I read the next one that comes out, and a month later I read the next one after. I like piling them up and then burning through like a whole like I read Red Shirts all at once.
Yeah. I think Red Shirts is probably better read that way. But then saying that, I enjoyed it month by month. I read it every time it came through. I don't know. I do it both ways as well. I'll happily keep a stack of comics and then go back through them. But usually with Star Trek, I read them on the way. I read them as they go. Whereas other comics, I collect a few others and I will happily let them stack and read them all in a row. I don't know. It's Star Trek. Star Trek's the one, though, isn't it? You don't want to be left behind.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. All right. Let me. Let's talk about one of my. Well, this is the one that's not the highlight. It's the low light of 2025. Let's just get it out of the way.
I refuse it to be a low light.
we can't talk about 2025 and not acknowledge Section 31 from this time last year, just January of 2025. And much has been said about Section 31, but I guess I'm really interested because you said you just rewatched it, and I
rewatched it.
I put this on the list and was like, I'm not doing any prep for this one. We're going in cold. So I guess I'm really curious. I watched it 3 times.
Okay.
But it's been months and months and months and months and months.
Right.
So I have a firm memory of it, but it's all very temporally located in this was a new thing, and it was massively disappointing as a new thing.
Yes.
Having now watched it with 12 months behind you, and like you've processed the disappointment of it, it is what it is, revisiting it, what did you think of it?
So, like all Star Trek, you can find something in it which you think is good.
Sure.
Like, there's always a thing you think, you know what, that was a good idea, or I like that bit, or I like that graphic, or I like that alien. And as ever with a rewatch, I always rewatch Star Trek, even if I didn't like it the first time. I think in rewatch, I'm always much kinder to TV shows. Yeah. Well, to Star Trek. It's the only one I ever rewatch. I'm always much kinder to Star Trek on a rewatch. And I mean, when I first watched Section 31, I finished it and thought that was pants. Like, really, really bad show, which I did not... I honestly was, like, struggling to think how they put it out. Like, at what point... I could see what happened. They got Michelle Yeoh, and they signed her up to do a Section 31, and then she'd exploded in popularity and fame following her Oscar, and she couldn't commit to a series, so they compressed one series into 1.5 hours, which, having watched it again today, that is very obvious what they've done, because everybody has their moment, and you think, well, that moment would have been a whole episode.
Right.
That would have been an entire episode where we got Alok's backstory, where we got a bit more depth from the robot fellow whose name I've already forgotten.
Yep.
We would have got a bit more of everything. I think it still remains not a great film. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. It's not fantastic. But if you watch it in terms of, like, this is a genre episode of Star Trek Discovery where they do a Mission Impossible style thing, it does that. It passably does that. It's a bit naff, is the horrible truth of it. It never quite escapes the naffness.
Right.
And it always... It's a little too cheesy.
Yeah.
Everyone speaks a bit too much. And then at the end of it, I couldn't quite figure out why. Did it actually make sense? I couldn't quite figure out where San had come from. And had he sent the Godsend? I didn't understand how the story had actually come together. The plot seemed a bit confused. So that was the other thing I was a bit concerned with. But the characters I sort of liked, apart from Fuzz, who I thought was incredibly irritating. All the way through, I did not find his character interesting.
Some of the worst accent work in all of Star Trek, and that is saying something.
It's really bad. And I feel bad. Obviously, this guy is not, a talent. I'm sure a talented young actor who's going to go on to do other things. And this could have been a springboard for him to be incredibly famous.
Yes.
Whereas other people, Garrett's actress, whom I'd recognise from, I think, Red Dragon. She was in Red Dragon.
Casey,
so she's in the Hannibal series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I already recognise her from that. And Quasi, he's in loads of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen him all over the place. So they're set. This isn't going to damage them. And the guy who plays Alok as well. My wife's currently watching a series that he's in called Power, which is, obviously very well received. But I just felt for that guy, because I'm like, God, this is his big screen debut, and it's pretty awful. He's pretty bad. And the
thing about him that just baffles me so much is, like, if you wanted Fuzz to have an interesting accent and you hired this actor to do it...
Who was South African, isn't he?
He's South African. He's got this great South African accent. I found an interview with him where he was just like Sven Reigerk or whatever his name is, just talking. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that is a fabulous South African accent. You could have just had him do that.
Do that. The Irish accent added absolutely nothing to this.
It added nothing to it, except for just coming off as weird and absurd and bad. And
I think that was the sort of almost the style of the show.
Yeah.
Like, can we pile mad on mad on mad and mad and, like, have that be the character?
Yeah.
He's a robot. He's got an alien living inside him. He's a Vulcan, but he doesn't act like a Vulcan. He's also got a very strong Irish accent. Like, do all these weird eccentricities and affectations become a character? Well, they didn't. In this case, they didn't. But at the end, he was the villain. and then he's back as playing his own wife.
Yeah, which, I mean, that bit, oh my God, that bit at the end, then he switches to the awful Southern American accent. It was oh my God.
It was so bad, and I don't want to single him out because he was not the worst thing about the film.
No.
It was just a really
Top
weird
5
distraction. Yeah.
So I think the thing for me, as I have reflected on the movie, is like you, I can see what they were trying to do, right? You can see the seams of the original TV show, but you can also see them swinging at what they were trying to do, which is expand the definition of what is Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right? Like trying to do something really bold in terms of something really different from your traditional Star Trek mold, but still have it be Star Trek. You know, it is part of this, which I've talked about endlessly on this show, what feels like this sort of Alex Kurtzman grand experiment, which we're about to move into the next chapter of with Starfleet Academy, of like trying new stuff that kind of flexes the sort of Star Trek way of doing things and, you know, try and do something a bit different with it.
On the whole, I think he's had more successes than failures.
Yes.
In that experiment. I feel like he comes out with ideas. Some ideas not so good. Some ideas pretty good. I think does every idea deserve its own series to explore? Or can you sort of would one series where you like push the genre for an episode and then expand on it rather than say, look, we'll do a whole series like this or a whole series like that?
Yeah.
I think for me the reason this film never quite captured the appeal was that it's very hard to really, really aspire to follow Emperor Giorgio's character.
Yeah.
And for me, I never quite got her redemption. And although here I thought at the end of it, she truly seemed contrite and sad in a way that I'd never, ever seen her in any of her previous appearances. Even when she softens around Burnham, I'd never seen her actually seem like she was genuinely felt bad for what she'd done. And so this was the first time I saw that, just as she's holding dying Stan in her hands. She looked sad. But until then, I'd never really... She just seemed like a really sarcastic person who couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I never got the appeal of following her as a character. It never did it for me. I much preferred her as Giorgio. I really wish.
Yes.
We'd had 7 seasons of the Shenzhou. Oh, that would have been great.
It's just such a smug movie. Like, the more I have thought about it, that is like the overriding vibe that comes off of the whole movie, is how smug it is. And that can work.
Yo, definitely.
Like, a movie having a really smug vibe and like a, you know, sort of, are you hard enough? And like, you know, like we're just going to do our thing and we don't care what you think about us, you know, sort of type approach and mentality. It can be really successful.
Yeah.
But only if the underlying movie itself is any good. Otherwise,
it's really solid.
Yeah, that kind of like that smug tone is really dangerous, because if the movie is creaky in any way, the smugness, it doesn't land, it doesn't work. It makes the movie itself worse, because you're just like, screw you.
Yeah, and there were lots of awkward conversations where you thought, you know, this could be ad-libbed or they're playing with their characters, but it never quite comes together. There's a lot of sarcasm, which doesn't seem to land, or there's lots of jabs at each other, which you think, I'm not necessarily thinking the jabs are hilarious, and they don't really add anything to what's going on in the story. We've created a lot of conflict between these characters, but I don't know, is there conflict between them? I guess I wasn't sure at the end of it. They all seem to... At the beginning, they were a team. In the middle, there was a mole, and they were worried. And at the end, they were a team, although Giorgio did threaten to kill them all. And they all laughed about it, but also they didn't seem like they were that sure she wouldn't do it. Yeah. And at the end, I thought, I'm not sure she wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because she seems like a crazy person who goes around killing people.
Yeah.
And now she's in charge.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, being a year past it.
Yeah.
Did it fatally damage the Star Trek franchise? No. You know, everybody's just kind of decided to sort of set it aside and move on from it in the way that you do any
forgotten
bad
about it.
Yeah,
we've
exactly.
forgotten that 2025 was a movie year.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We've ignored it.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think the only, like, I think its biggest long-term impact on the franchise will be, I doubt we will see any other streaming movies. I think that probably
Do you really think
was
no more streaming movies? That would be a shame. I
do,
think.
yeah, I do. Because I think they're just going to look at that and go, the investment was not worth the return. And if the investment's not worth the return, even if you're doing something completely different, like, why would you roll the dice on it?
That's wild to me, because I feel like they're making a the episodes, the online episodes get longer and longer. They're not constrained by TV anymore. You're regularly seeing an episode which is an hour and 8 minutes. And you're like, oh, and that's an hour. That's a solid hour and 8 minutes. There's no ad breaks. There's nothing in there. To create a TV movie should be a reasonably, if you have a strong idea and a strong crew, a TV movie seems almost inevitable. Like, people would flock to it. They want to watch it. A Strange New Worlds TV movie, I think, would do extremely well. I think it would. We know, it's not rolling the dice. It's not doing something. They're not breaking the mold there. But to finish off with a TV movie rather than just a very long episode, it just seems to me like a no-brainer. Well, maybe they don't think that. They obviously think that people aren't watching it.
I think the difference between a very long episode and a TV movie is not very big. No. It's not like in the 90s, if you were doing a regular episodic thing and then you did like a TV movie, it was an event. It was a real, completely. There was sort of a real leveling up of what you were doing for, whether it was in time or whether it was in, sort of, when I say time, I mean duration of the episode / movie, the level of ambition, the money that was put into it. But in a world in which episodes already look like movies, they're already fairly close to TV movie length, and like they're already pretty ambitious. It's like, it feels like that's not really a tool in the toolbox anymore, unless you're going to do it on something else, and that was the Section 31 thing, right? It was like, well, it's not Strange New Worlds and it's not Starfleet Academy, it's Section 31, and we're doing this thing, but that's such a bigger roll of the dice, because it's not like, oh, well, let's take an established property like Strange New Worlds and just put another 20 minutes on an episode and call it a TV movie. It's like, it's a whole new set of characters, or largely a whole new set of characters, and we've got to build whole new sets, and like, there's a financial cost to doing that that is just more substantial. And unfortunately, I think Section 31 is going to end up being a one and done. I mean, it's definitely a one and done for Section 31.
Section 31's a one and done.
But like, in terms of Star Trek's foray into TV movies,
I don't. It seems to me that actually you make a good argument for a TV movie, because it is. You're right. The production values, even on Section 31, are outstanding. Like, it looks amazing.
Yes.
And it could easily have passed muster in any cinema.
Yes.
Visually. If it's that easy to do, and actually you're creating this event, so it's not just the end of a series. It's a whole new thing that you can advertise separately and create a new buzz around. And I suppose that's what a lot of production is. It's creating the buzz that people actually will go and see your product and then pay to view it. And I feel like that should be easier than ever, given that I'm already paying this streaming service. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm already paying them. They're not going to get any more money from me to release a TV movie. It won't make any difference, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. It's like, it's one of those sort of, I mean, it clearly is a role for it somewhat. Disney's still doing it, in terms of like Marvel Cinematic Universe. They've got, coming up in 2026, they're doing a TV movie on The Punisher, that's just like a, sort of long episode of a Disney Plus show, but it's not because it's a specific thing by itself. They did one for Halloween a couple of years ago, Werewolf by Night, that was very good. I love that one. Yeah. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, that was a TV movie. That was a classic TV movie. I love that one so much,
but it was definitely a TV movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it is still a tool in the toolbox. It's just interesting, and I mean, it'd just be curious to see. I mean, partially this comes back to this sort of overriding question that 2026 should answer, which is, what does the Star Trek franchise look like moving forward?
Yeah, I'm very curious to know, because obviously under new ownership.
Yeah,
obviously, well, not obviously. You read a lot online about the direction things could go, or politically why they might move in a certain way.
Yeah, you read a lot online about that.
Yeah, which it can be concerning. Sometimes you think, actually, this isn't necessarily how I would choose to. This isn't how I would choose to lead a franchise or lead a story, or or how I would choose to really live my life, because some of the things that come out are like, this isn't what I want to be associated with.
Yeah, right.
So it's a bit concerning on that score. I'm also a bit concerned about the new Starfleet Academy series, because it seems to be getting a lot of criticism just for existing before you've really seen a single episode.
Yeah.
And like, I'm willing to give things the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to give this a fair shake. But if, like, you read stuff, I mean, obviously you shouldn't read stuff online. It's time to just ignore stuff online. But it does make me wonder whether this would be the kind of thing that the new overlords would want to embrace. It's a diverse cast, a new idea, lots of positive hope for the future, when actually some of the stuff they seem to be backing doesn't really seem to jive with that.
Yeah, I mean, Section 31. Section 31 is gone. Goodbye. Good riddance.
Goodbye.
Starfleet Academy will be out in a few weeks, and we will all know then.
Yeah. Yes. Do you think you'll get more than 2 series?
I don't know. I really don't know. The review embargo lifts on January 8th.
Okay.
So I will have a bit more to say
You can
then.
tell me then. You can tell me then.
I don't know. And I don't say that in the sense of, I don't know, because I've seen it and it's not very good. I just say that from the perspective of, independent of how good of a Star Trek production it is, given that we don't know what the wider direction is for the franchise, are they keeping Alex Kurtzman around? Do they want to directionally change the politics is the wrong word, but a little bit of the ethos of the focus point of what the Star Trek franchise is about? I talked about this on our last episode. I don't think they're going to try and turn Star Trek into something that it isn't.
No.
You know, some kind of like crazy, you know, make America great again proxy, you know, that kind of thing. They're just not going to do that, because ultimately I don't think these are political people. I think they're businessmen and they want to make money. And a lot of their like political stuff around, we want to target this particular demographic, is because they sense there's money there, not because they sense there's some political crusade that they're trying to ultimately, you know, sort of fulfill. But there's money in people who are liberal too. So, you know, Star Trek's a way of getting that.
Well, that does that. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose it remains kind of concerning, because one of the things, I mean, the Alex Kurtzman's great experiment, he produced lots of different genres, he produced lots of different shows, but he produced it involving lots and lots of different people. And like never before have we seen cast and crew being so diverse. And I think that has been one of the genuine wins of his tenure at the helm of Star Trek. Like, it's never been more diverse. There's never been people from every conceivable walk of life coming together, continuing humanity's mission into the stars. Like, that has been one of the key takeaways that's been hugely beneficial. And I would hate to see that challenged or changed, because I feel like that has been the best thing about new Star Trek, and one thing that I've grown to appreciate more and more as I get older, as I see the state of the world, and as I watch Star Trek.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, if Alex Kurtzman sticks around, and if people treat Starfleet Academy as its own thing and not as being Star Trek Discovery 2.0, then I think it will get a season 3.
Okay.
Like, I think if people go into it with an open mind, which is hard to do,
because it's so tied to everything else.
Because it's so tied to everything. It's the same. It's the same costumes. You know, like it visually looks pretty similar to the you know, sort of season 3, 4, and 5 of Star Trek Discovery. It has some similar, like, you know, sort of tonal things and ways that it approaches things, but it's also very different, and it's very its own thing. And I don't really want to say more than that at this point, but yeah, like I think if people treat it with an open mind and recognize, I think there, and I've said this before on previous episodes, so I'm on firm ground saying this, because I'm just referring back to things I've said before. This is a different creative team than Star Trek Discovery. Okay. You know, yes, Alex Kurtzman is co-running the show, but like most of the writers are different. A lot of some of the production people are the same. So Jeff Russo doing the music, like some of the sort of production design. I don't know exactly like who's carried over and who isn't, but the writers are very different, and that's where a big point of the criticism of Star Trek Discovery was. And so, not saying whether Star Trek Starfleet Academy is any good or not, the creative team is very different.
All right,
and like a lot of conceptions about what Discovery was should not be applied to Starfleet Academy because it's a very different team.
Okay. Alex, you very well navigated that very awkward question without giving anything away. I continue to look forward to Starfleet Academy, and I continue to lament Section 31.
Yes. All right, what's next on your list?
Okay. This could conceivably be a short point because I feel like we have recently talked this to death as a community. Star Trek Lego.
Star Trek Lego. Did you get it?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was
you build
there
it yet?
at midnight refreshing.
Yeah.
I got the screen saying, "Oh, you're in a queue," and I wept and wailed, and I was like, "No, I've waited too long. I've waited too long to be held up by you."
Yep.
But cleared in a few minutes. 4 or 5 days later, gigantic parcels arrive at my door, and I'm now the proud owner of an enormous box containing a gigantic Starship Enterprise D, which I have waited for patiently since I was about 10 years old.
Sure.
In fact, here you go, Alex. You can see this if you just can't. Here is a Starfleet figure I painted when I was about 10 years old. A Starfleet Lego figure that I hand painted because I didn't have any Star Trek Lego.
Yep.
And somewhere I've got a very child Starship Enterprise I made out of Lego.
Nice.
With a hand-painted tile that says the USS Enterprise on it. I couldn't fit Enterprise in one word as a hyphen. And that was me at 10 years old, desperate for Star Trek Lego.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I was interested in the Mega Blocks. I got a couple of the Mega Block ships.
Blue bricks.
I didn't buy any blue. I looked at a lot of blue brick stuff. I was always on their website.
Well, they didn't ship to the UK for a while.
They didn't, and it was expensive. I never pulled the trigger on blue bricks. Although I did think about their runabouts.
Yes,
they looked really solid. And I was always like, that looks very satisfying. To hold, but I never pulled the trigger on any of their stuff. And even the Playmobil, like the Playmobil Enterprise that came out, I looked at that for ages. I was like, am I going to get? Do I really need a giant model? No, I don't. Like, what am I doing? But I told my wife, like, if they release Star Trek Lego, we'll have to remortgage the house. Like, this is where I'm willing to go.
Yeah,
I'm willing to do this. So I bought it. I was never not going to buy it, but I had to make sure I saved up for it. Ridiculously expensive. And now I've got it.
Yep.
I've never opened it. I've got nowhere to put it. As soon as I open it, I'll lose a bit of it. My children will be touching it. It'll fall to pieces.
But your 10-year-old self is content.
I'm happy just to know it exists. They're upstairs in the loft, unopened. I haven't even taken out the packing box.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah.
It lives. And I've got the little Ensign Row shuttle, which I think I like the Ensign Row model, the shuttle model, more than I like the big Enterprise model.
Yeah.
I like it. But I never opened it. I still just like, as soon as I open it, I'm going to lose a bit.
But that's a quick one. You can put that one together in an hour.
I could do it while we're chatting. While we're chatting.
Yeah.
But by tomorrow, I'll have lost a bit.
Yeah.
And I'll grieve that bit. I'll grieve it. So what I really want to say is, love the Star Trek Lego. Love the pictures people are posting. I vicariously built and played with the Lego Enterprise D without ever having opened the box, and I can't see that I ever will open it. I'm happy just to have it and just live with it. But what I want are some smaller sets. Yeah, for me, this is the gateway to actual Lego sets that I'll be able to open. I want a transporter room. A Lego transporter room would be perfect. A couple
TOS,
of
TNG.
Both.
Cool.
Do one, do another. Yep. A little twisty mechanism where it twists around, or one that you can convert from one to the other. You know, your little figure disappears. Ideal. I mean, I want get me a shuttle, get me a classic Lego shuttle, do me a runabout, a Borg regeneration chamber. That would be amazing. Series of them, loads of little Borg minifigures. What else do I want? Star Trek blind bags, the minifigure blind bags, so you can get those blind bags. Do that. You can have all sorts. You get a guy from Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. You get a Talosian. You can have a Gorn.
Ramataclan.
You could have so many. Star Trek Lego Advent calendars. That's what I want. I want one of those. Little tiny versions of the starships made out of Lego. I want all that stuff. Lego video games. I mean, maybe I wouldn't play the Lego video games, but the idea of it just fills me with joy.
Yeah.
I just want more of it. But I don't know whether I actually want it to do anything with it or just to know it exists.
Yeah.
Am I happy just to know these two franchises have come together and they've melted it together? And finally, I've got what I long wanted.
For me, it's the interiors. I want bridges. That transporter room idea is great. Yeah, especially if there's a transporter room that's got like a little gimmick to it that makes the little minifigure disappear. Yeah. Like, some of that like classic Lego like playability stuff. Because the Enterprise D had a little bit of that. It seemed like like the little dedication plaque hidden away in the inside the ship. But like ultimately, it's a big hunk of plastic. That like is a great looking model, but like it's missing. To me, it's sort of missing a lot of those like the little fun bits to it.
It doesn't have any gimmicks.
Exactly.
It does have one gimmick. It has the one gimmick that you separate the saucer section.
Yes.
And I love the detail of it. I love the clever that they use the shuttle. The fact it does it is astounding. But I want the gimmick. I mean, they do that with the figures. You get the gimmicks with the figures. Riker's got a trombone. Wesley's got his little tractor beam emitter.
Yeah.
But what I want is, I want a 10 forward. I want a replicator that replicates something for you.
Yeah.
I want a holodeck where you turn the wall around and it becomes something else.
Right.
I want all of these little things.
Yeah.
And I assumed when you took the lid off, there'd be a bridge inside.
Yeah.
But there wasn't.
Right.
Which is a real shame, but I suppose it's because it's so top heavy. But soon they'll make that. And I'll buy that. And if it's small and it's cheap, I'll open it and play with it.
Yeah.
But if it's another 400 quid set, I will probably not be opening them because I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. And once it's lost, once I've opened it, it just becomes part of my house.
Right.
And the house just eats Lego.
Yeah, well, I guess that's having kids for you, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it seems like it was a successful launch. So, if you make one successful set, Lego's not going to sit on the opportunity to make more.
It was more than successful. Like, it was sold out. Like, it went, people in queues. I saw that Will Wheaton had to queue online to get a set. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that Will Wheaton was queuing. I was like, is there not like if you're a figure in Lego, is there not like a ceremony? Do they not like fly you out to a builder or wherever it is?
Yeah.
To, like, give you a set? Like, we've immortalized you in Lego.
Right. If you are one of the people in the figures, you should at least be on the list to like mail a set to.
Absolutely. It's only 9 people that they could do it to. Get it out there. Send them.
No. Lego's like, no.
Yes.
Lego's like, no, you need us more than we need you, therefore you pay.
Yeah. And I was willing to, but I couldn't open it. I couldn't bring myself to open it. Maybe when I'm old. Maybe when I'm an old man. Maybe, just before 2063.
It's a good retirement gift to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have plenty. Your kids will be grown out the house. You'll have plenty of time to. You hope you'll have plenty of time to build Lego sets.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, since we're on merchandise, let me give you my next one, which is Nacelle. Although Nacelle, who are having a bit of hiccups, like put out last week's episode being like, oh yeah, Nacelle's starting to ship wave 1 of its Star Trek action figure line, and that was true both on the day that I recorded that and then the day that I put it out. But then the day after, they said that it turned out there were a bunch of quality control issues with the first wave of figures that they had gotten in from the factory, and they did not meet their like expectations, and so they are getting a whole new set manufactured and shipped over, and so now wave 1 shipping has been delayed until February. So that's when everybody will get their figures.
I got my email letting me know that my Tuvix action figure would be delayed. I think the day I listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. But despite that small, well, maybe not so small, but like, hey, I mean, it sucks for them, but they're being very transparent.
Well, that's it. He's always online saying, here's what's happening, here's what's going on. So he's talking about it a lot. He's not hiding behind anything. Yeah.
And like, I've seen pictures of some of the figures that people got, and it's a lot like, it's not a problem with the with the sculpts, it's really a problem with a lot of the painting, like eyes being painted where like the figure is cross-eyed, you know.
Oh no!
So
Oh
it's like it's little
no!
stuff, but that's very fixable stuff.
Oh yeah.
So like, and I guess so there was that, and then I guess there was some heat issues on the
Yeah.
cargo ship that like made the paint kind of bubble up on some of the figure. Anyway, having said that though, still really excited about this. Really excited about getting Wave 1, and
How many of Wave 1 have you ordered?
all of them.
You've ordered all of Wave 1?
I've ordered all of them. I've ordered all of Wave 1, and I've ordered all of Wave 2.
Oh my gosh! I've only ordered one from each. Can't bring myself to buy 10. I wouldn't know where I put 10. Don't know where I put 10.
Yeah, no, I'm insane and have ordered all of them.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, and cannot wait for them. And, you know, it's like, I mean, we talked last week about, I think Skydance making some missteps around merchandising, but since we're not looking ahead, we're looking back on 2025. Nacelle, for me, is one of the more exciting Star Trek licensees alongside Lego that we've had in a really, really long time. And just the idea that we're supposed to have been hours away from having a Tuvix and Captain Jellicoe action figure, but now, you know, still just a few weeks away from having that. Like, that's just crazy. You know, Wayoon, Jellicoe, Rachel Garrett, Peter Preston, Val Chris.
Peter Preston.
Like,
I mean, that is insane as a choice for a character. But I love it.
So
I love it. It's so good.
It's so great. I love it. And like, and it's about to have them all. And then there's more coming. Wave 2's up for pre-order. Wave 3 has been announced. Wave 4 has been announced. So like, you know, there's a lot more of these on the way.
He's going to step into like crews. I think that's a wise move.
Yes.
But I think these individual characters, like, there were two that I really wanted, and they've produced them.
Yeah.
So like, I've always wanted a Tuvix action figure.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get one.
Sure.
And then when he announced Bem, I didn't realize I wanted a Bem, but Bem was one that I've read. Like, one of the few novels I've read, the novelization of the Bem episode, which is ridiculous that they would have a novelization. It's such a long novelization. It goes on for such a long time beyond the episode. It really sticks in my mind because I read it before I watched the episode. And then I was like, oh, it just cuts out halfway through. They don't do the rest of it when they go to his homeworld. And I've always thought about Bem, and the Bem coming out, like, must get a Bem. That is too good to pass up.
And the fact that, you know, the action figure breaks up into pieces just like the character does in the episode.
Oh, but will I ever open it, Alex? That's the
no,
real
you gotta. Come on, man. Come on. It's psychotic enough behavior
to
get the Lego set and not make it.
I'll just lose the bit. I think that's probably one of the key factors that's put me off action figure collecting so long. Like modern stuff is they come with spare hands. And I think if I open this, I'm going to lose the hands.
You just get a Ziploc bag, you put all that stuff immediately in the Ziploc bag, and then you've got the, you know, and it's all safe, and you've got your figure.
My most recent Star Trek action figure purchase, this is legit. There you go.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
The Star Trek Turtles.
Yep.
I bought a set of all four, and they are in Ziploc bags with all the little accessories stuck to them. I've been obsessed with these since I was about 12.
Yeah.
The idea that they existed sort of blew my mind. They came out like 1994 or something.
They sure
did. The idea they existed blew my mind, and I've been on the hunt for them essentially since then. And I went to a toy fair late last year, and the guy just had all four of them sat there on a table.
Nice.
And I was just like, this is it. And I walked around the thing, and I thought, can I justify spending all this money on them? Like, if I don't buy them, I'm going to cry. I'll cry if I don't buy them. Very excited. But love a Bem. I'll never open Bem. I'll hang him on the wall.
I'm a big believer in opening action figures.
No. Honestly, I promise you right now, I've got Data as Sherlock Holmes on the wall.
Nice.
I've got Amigo Gorn action figure. I've got Hugh Borg signed by the actor whose name has just gone out of my brain. And I've got the Playmate Spock they recently released from the stunt. You know, they were going to the big Playmates re-release.
Yeah, everyone was so excited about that, and then you know.
So I wanted to I couldn't buy them all, but I wanted to do my part and at least buy a couple.
Nice.
So he's on the wall, and I always think about getting a Picard from that series as well. But I never pulled the trigger yet.
Well, now they're all on like ultra clearance because
I know. I just don't have the wall space anymore. Yeah, but I'm excited by my Tuvics. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to this.
Tuvix and Captain Garrett. That's the one. That's the big one. And Wayun. Those are the two big ones from Wave One that I'm looking forward to.
Wayoon is such a good shout. I cannot
Yeah.
believe there's not been. I mean, there must have been a Playmates Wayoon.
No, there wasn't.
There wasn't a
There
Playmates
was not a
Wayoon.
Playmates Reunion because Playmates basically stopped doing the line in a way where they were like doing a bunch of characters in like season 4 of Deep Space Nine.
Right, okay.
After that, they were just doing occasional releases
Okay.
and a lot of the like exclusive stuff.
Yeah, the figures got quite weird towards the end of the Playmates run. I've got a Q dressed up in sort of like a swordsman Q.
Yep.
At the back of the rim somewhere, and honestly, I struggle to pin down what episode he's from, or whether they just sort of thought.
I think he's supposed to be from Encounter at Farpoint, isn't he?
Maybe he is.
Yeah,
I can't
he's
remember.
one of the. He shows up as the explorer captain.
Yes.
And then he winks into the U.S. Army guy.
Yes.
And then into the like,
I remember.
the like drugs guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the big tank suit.
Exactly. Yeah, the tank suit.
Yeah. So they did some weird ones, but I always remember them fondly. And I guess this is like in the 90s, Star Trek was everywhere. You could buy the toys, you could buy the novels,
right?
You could buy the videos.
Yes.
And now you got to, we're waiting patiently for any new release.
Yeah, but that's just like it. That's part of the reason why I'm so excited for Nacelle, because it evokes the excitement of that Playmates era of them making anything under the sun.
And actually, they're quite reasonably priced as well. Like
$30 for something that size.
You could see these being much more expensive, and sometimes action figures are crazy expensive.
Oh yeah,
actually, this was very reasonably priced. I didn't have to think about this too much. I was like, I want it, I'll get it. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, what's next on your list?
Okay, so I feel like we've talked about a lot of stuff around Star Trek.
Yes,
we talked about one TV movie.
Yes.
But
one terrible TV movie.
One terrible TV movie. So I wanted to pick an episode which came out in 2025, which I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed it honestly, and I just thought it was fun, and it was something I've been waiting for a little while. So I chose the episode Shuttle to Ken Forey.
Love it.
Strange New Worlds, season 3, episode 3. A zombie episode.
Zombie episode.
So sort of going
zombie and Klingon episode.
Well, this is what's nice about, I think, Strange New Worlds. It has that sort of Deep Space Nine storytelling approach where the episodes stand alone, but the threads weave in and out every week. So this episode has A, B, and C plots, and they look at, it's essentially a sequel to the Mabenga episode, whose name escapes me.
Under the Cloak of War.
Under the Cloak of War, but it also the threads of what happened to Ortegas, the threads of what happens to Patel with the Gorn, the threads of what happened to Ortegas with the Klingons and the Gorn. Like it weaves those threads in really nicely and continues those stories without making it about those things.
Yeah.
And as a zombie episode, I found it very satisfying. I'm a zombie aficionado. I love watching zombie films. And they just did it. This is the first time they've looked at zombies. I mean, the comics have looked at zombies a couple of times.
Yeah.
But since Impulse, I call that a zombie episode as well. I call that as a zombie episode. But they use the word zombie. And they do it in the way that all good zombie films do, where they question whether they should use the word zombie, which I appreciated. I felt like they hit those zombie tropes in just the right way. I mean, they're there, they're looking for the MacGuffin, the flower, the Chimera Blossom to save Captain Patel. And then they go to, obviously it's called Ken Forey, after the famous Dawn of the Dead actor, which also I didn't know. Somebody else pointed this out to me. I think I'd have clicked after a while, but it took somebody else to point it out to me. But it's nice. It's nice they've done that. They called it Ken Forey. That's fun. That's clever. And then they just do the classic zombie setup. They're at a research station, and they're looking at, I don't know, it's to produce plants that continue to grow, and they've got extra longevity. And you're like, ooh, there's a warning sign there. And then, no life signs, all flora, no fauna.
Yeah.
And then they're doing other things. There's the very slow movement of the zombie skull as it comes back to life. I don't know, the jump scares, bundles of zombies coming through the window. They shoot them, they explode, they get bitten. It was good.
Stupid decisions.
Oh my God, stupid. You know what's weird about the one thing that my criticism was, there were no red shirts. They went down there, just the two of them.
Yeah.
This would have been a red shirt heavy episode.
Yes.
It should have been, I would say, 15 minutes longer, and they should have just picked off a lot of red shirts, either from the Klingons or from the zombies.
Yep.
And that should have been the end. Because we got some Klingons passed away, and poor, what was her name? Barta, I think her name was. Oh gosh, I did write her name down because I forgot what her name was. Biter. And she was the ambassador's daughter. She dies, but she chooses to die, like an honourable death. I just thought it was fun. Like, it's not a mind-blowing episode. They didn't put a lot of thought into the story. It's not a science fiction in the way that I normally would say I like my Star Trek, which is to have a really solid sci-fi idea and then to really like explore that idea. The other thing they do, and they do it really well in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, is genre. They pick a genre and then they will go and explore that. And I really like when they do that. I like it when the two things marry up, when a genre and idea really marry.
Sure.
But where they either do one or the other, I appreciate both what they are. I like the musical episode. I like the animated sections and the crossovers there. I'm looking forward to the other genre things they're hinting at in season 4. And I like this. I like the fact they took it and they thought, let's do a zombie episode. They did it well. I enjoyed it. It's easy to rewatch. It's just a daft zombie film. And at the end, it's more about battling with the other survivors than it is about the zombies. That's the more important thing. It's just jolly good fun. Just jolly good fun, which I can rewatch and rewatch.
In addition to everything you've said, I also really like the chain of command stuff up on the Enterprise.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, the sort of Una and Ortegas sort of confrontation over Ortegas, being like taking matters into her own hands and sort of manipulating the situation.
Being reprimanded for it at the end.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I thought was really nice because Strange New Worlds definitely sort of continues the Kurtzman era Star Trek philosophy of Starfleet as like a military chain of command being quite loose. It's much more of like Starfleet is more of a traditional white collar workplace than it is a like military environment, which is, I mean, there's, I think a very important debate, which is, I think actually largely captured in the, is Jellicoe a good captain or not debate around, like in the 24th century, what should that kind of hierarchical structure look like? Like, should it look more like the military of today where it's very much like if you,
well, I suppose it's what's your goal?
Right.
And I suppose the reason they have military structures is because actually somebody needs to be in charge of this gigantic machine that we're piloting through space.
Yeah.
And you can't have everyone going off to do their own thing. We all need to be unified for this purpose, and that purpose has to be centralized on someone who's actually going to make a decision.
Right.
And wouldn't it be great if we could all be really relaxed and make our decisions and know what we're doing is going to be part of the grand plan, the big picture? But if you're not on board with it, and if you have decided you actually have got a better idea, well, one thing to be insubordinate, it's another thing to be mutinous.
Yeah, right.
Actually, you need a chain of command to make sure that things are going to work, that the mission is going to follow through, that the machines are going to do their job and are going to work for you. And if you have too many people saying, actually, this isn't for me or I don't like this plan, well, they couldn't work there, could they? They couldn't
right.
They have to submit to an idea that they don't make every decision they're going to have to make.
Yeah. So it's a super interesting tension, and also one that I don't think it was explored in nearly as interesting a fashion also came up in What is Starfleet, the documentary episode. That was sort of its, like core kind of idea. But yeah, like Shelter Camp 4 is great. Yeah, I mean, the zombie stuff's all great. Weirdly, for somebody who doesn't really like horror, zombies are the one thing that I kind of do have a bit of a soft spot for.
Okay.
Like I watched, I've seen 28 Days and 28 weeks later, and I watched the first 4 or 5 seasons of The Walking Dead when that was on.
Yes, that becomes a hard slog though. That's tough.
That just became very relentlessly grim.
I actually gave up. I gave up at season 8 about the same time I stopped reading the comics, the Walking Dead comics. It's just too much. I like it just when society's collapsed and everyone's figuring out what to do. But, after 20 years of just relentless murder and killing and everyone's horrible to each other, that's the opposite of Star Trek, isn't it?
Totally.
Everyone in Star Trek's so nice, so thoughtful, considerate, let's make plans, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Whereas it's so selfish and so unpleasant.
Yes, I'm very, that is the perfect way of putting it. For zombie stuff, I'm very interested in the collapse of society and the immediate aftermath where everybody's like trying to figure out how to live in this new world.
Yeah.
And I like my zombie stories to then have a bit of like a hint of a way out of that.
Yeah.
You know, that like whether the story ends with, and now we enter a new zombie list tomorrow or not, that like at least you can sort of see that this isn't just going to be an awful existence for everybody who's not a zombie forevermore. But the
it's
problem,
the apocalypse, and it's happened. And that's it.
and you're never going back to what life used to be before. And the issue with a show like The Walking Dead, especially because you can't solve the problem because then there's not a show anymore. If the show's popular enough and goes on long enough, like you really do just embed into that where it is just relentlessly dark, relentlessly grim, and like there's no way out of it.
The Walking Dead's too dark. And this is just, I mean, the zombie element is very, it's not even the biggest part of the episode, really.
Yeah.
The Klingon scenario is a big part, the Ortegas is a big part, and the zombies a big part. So it sort of divides nicely into thirds. And they do the zombie bit really well, but they never have to face it in the same way that the characters in 28 Days Later have to face it, or the characters in The Walking Dead face it. It's an immediate problem which they blast their way out of, and the problem's solved. They never have to face that sort of ongoing crisis of existence of like how do I push this, and I'd be interested to see that happen, but I don't think Star Trek's necessarily the right venue for that to occur.
Probably not.
So I was very happy with this as a nod to the genre, as a nod to the idea. I thought it was great. I could have probably seen 10 more minutes before the Klingon stuff happened, like 10 more minutes of just zombie shenanigans, like, to make the most of the fact you've got all these actors made up. Kill off a couple of red shirts, kill off a couple more Klingons. That's it. That would have probably made this episode a 10 for me, even though, it's not a mind bender, which I normally go for. I like those mind bending episodes. This one was just a good bit of fun. So I wanted to end on a high, and I really did enjoy it. And I watched that this morning before I watched Section 31, and I really enjoyed it. And then I watched Section 31, and I thought Section 31 was watched.
All right, let me give you my last 2025 thing, which is Star Trek Con, the audio drama podcast series, which was a really nice kind of thing to have in the fall after Strange New Worlds had wrapped up. We've got a few months break in between Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy. Got this Con thing. I thought the story was pretty good. I thought Naveen Andrews was great. I thought Ren Schmidt was great. I really liked sort of, particularly the earlier episodes where they were sort of exploring and discovering SETI Alpha 5 for the first time. Actually, in some ways, very similarly to the conversation we were just having, right? Like, I really liked the civilization has collapsed and we're trying to figure out what to do about it. I liked it a bit less when it was sort of we're just going to die on this planet and nothing's ever going to get better. I thought the twist at the end was interesting and like, I really liked it. I did not see I saw it coming. By the end of the penultimate episode, I had guessed it. Okay. No earlier than that.
I sort of figured it out. I figured that they're not going to introduce this character just to remove them. That would be really, really savage. And I thought, well, there's only one person who it could end up being. There's
Yes. When it got closer to, this thing has happened, or this new character has been introduced, and there's a possibility this new character is going to get off SETI Alpha 5, then it kind of locked into place for me. Because I was like, there's only one other character, and there's only one other character who you, like, it's not Tuvok.
No,
it's not Captain Sulu.
No,
there's only one left. So,
there's only one other person it could be.
But I thought it was quite well done in that regard.
Well, I thought it was. I enjoyed it intensely. So I listen to a lot of audio dramas. I listen to a lot of radio plays. So this was right up my street of something to listen to. I thought the containing story was fun. I liked having Sulu and Tuvok back. I thought that was great, but I thought more than that, it did actually add to the story that we were hearing as well. It wasn't just a setup to hear a story. Right. It was part of the story in a really nice way, and that sort of grows as the episode goes on. I thought the two different sections of it. I guess I'm an unashamed fan of it. I really enjoyed it. I was really excited to hear the last couple of episodes to see how everything would actually play out.
Yeah,
and I suppose you you know what some things are going to happen because you know the future of Khan and you know the future of some of the characters. But it was nice to see some of that backstory happen. And I also was sort of really caught up in the tragedy of what happened to some of the augments as well.
Yeah.
Because some of them you really do get to know over the course of the episodes. Some of them you like, some you don't like so much. But I was really invested in what happened to them. I was engaged in what happened to them. And I felt the sort of the sadness of their society collapsing. I felt that. But I was also, there's a sci-fi twist about halfway through, which I didn't see coming, which was a real surprise to me. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, the science fiction aspect of it, more than because I didn't know how they were going to stretch out that real descent for 10 episodes or 8 episodes, because it was, it's the collapse of society and then we survive. Yeah. But there was a nice sort of sci-fi twist in it in the middle, which I really enjoyed. Khan, sometimes towards the end, I was never quite sure about his motivation, but I always held it in my head like, well, I know where he ends up. I know where he ends up. I know where he's going. So this is what's he's being led to. Sometimes he seemed a bit confused. But actually, apart from that, that was probably my only criticism of the episode. Sometimes I could never quite place him. And maybe that's the same thing for Section 31.
Yeah.
We're centering this story on the villain. And maybe at the time of the episode of Khan, he's not the villain. We're seeing him fall. He's having his Walter White moment. He's got the ability to become this bad person. But we know he becomes it because we've seen the future for him. But I thought it was really well done. I hope it was well received by everyone. And I encouraged everyone, every time an episode came out, I encouraged everyone to listen to it. It was great. So I hope they make more of these. Because this is the second audio drama they've done. But this was, I would say, a cut above the previous one.
Sure, yeah.
I thought the acting was good in the first one, but the acting here was just next level. The sound design was just the sound was great. It was really well done. And the story was great. I was really surprised and exhilarated and thrilled by it. Whereas the story in the previous one, it was okay. But it wasn't like this. I wasn't as emotionally invested in it as I was in this. Maybe it was the weekly release as well. Like, I was really excited for the next episode to come out.
Yeah, I really hope they make more. I really like the weekly release element of it. Like, it was nice to have that, like it wasn't just a one and done. It was, the story kind of played out over time. And yeah, like I sense this will just end up being a one-off because it, originated as a TV show and then they still want to do something. So they're like made it an audio thing.
I can't see there's any more Khan. There's no more Khan story to tell, surely.
Sure, yes. Oh, surely not. I hope not. I really hope not.
I feel like that as a series, as a single event, it was pretty much perfect, but it's also finished.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't need any more of that.
Yeah, but I'd like them to do other non-Khan audio stuff. And I hope that they do. I'm not super confident that they will, because I think the audio thing was just a byproduct of them not doing a TV show for the Khan thing. But I hope it was successful enough that they went, hey, this is another way for us to monetize, like another stream for us to make Star Trek stuff. So let's do it.
And to be honest, I mean, every time they make a non-TV show story of Star Trek, I think, well, this would be good as a TV show. And I think this would have been good. Like, yeah. I'd love to have seen this, and I feel like all the voice actors, I don't know what a lot of them look like, but I know what Naveen Andrews looks like. He could play Khan. He could play Khan. He would be perfect at it. It would work. Put him on the screen. Tuvok and Sulu, they could do those bits. They could, de-age them slightly on the screen. We could do that. It would be good. It would be fun. I'd love to see it. And I think the story was good enough that it could have been a TV movie, maybe.
Yeah. All right, next year, 2026. What are you looking forward to? That's what we'll end on.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to Starfleet Academy. I mean, Starfleet Academy has been such an idea that's been in the works for 40 years?
A long, long time.
Yeah, they've been plumbing this idea for a long time. Is this how I thought it was going to come about? No. Am I still looking forward to it? I am. I've watched the trailers a couple of times. I have to listen out you can hear Stephen Colbert's voice. You can hear his voice in the trailers. It took me a little while I was like, oh, that is him. There he is. It was nice to see the Doctor again. Like, I'm excited to see the Doctor. I enjoyed him in Prodigy. I'm excited to see him again in the future. And just the guy who plays the villain,
Paul Giamatti.
He really, really was hamming it up, and I loved it. I thought he was great. Like he's good stuff, isn't he? He's a good actor. I loved what he was doing with half Tellarite, half Klingon. I want to see it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm excited. So, what else is coming out?
Season 4 of Strange New Worlds.
That I'm excited for. I thought season 3 ended on a weird note.
Yeah,
and I wonder like what's going to happen on season 4. I don't know. Season 3, I thought the first like 4 or 5 episodes I really enjoyed, and then it just got a bit strange. So strange new worlds. It was okay. Season 3 was all right. But
yeah, I am really looking forward to Starfleet Academy. I'm looking forward to Strange New Worlds season 4, and it's the 60th anniversary, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they decide to make of the 60th anniversary in terms of whether that's a 60th anniversary episode of Strange New Worlds as part of season 4, whether that's a new show announcement, new movie announcement, like a new something announcement. It could be nothing. Like it could just be like, well, we got the Rose Parade and there'll be the cruise and like
the Rose. I mean, the Rose Parade. I feel like that's something that's bypass. I don't know what the Rose Parade is. I know what. I've read about it online. Sure. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the Rose Parade is. So I've seen that there's been a float.
Yes,
I've seen people rainy with umbrellas. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. So like I hope it's more than that, and I'm sure it will be. But also, 2016 should have been a much bigger year for Star Trek than it ended up being for the 50th anniversary.
That's what I thought. I personally thought Discovery would have launched in 2016.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was delayed for whatever reason. But we did get we got a film. We got the Kelvin film in 2016, which was good. This year, I mean, I would like to see some of the episodes tie in to the franchise history. I think it's hard to do with just 10 episodes, though. Yeah. Like, it's hard to say we're going to dedicate one episode to the legacy of Star Trek in this season, when then we've only got 9 episodes left, which, I don't know, just make more episodes would be my advice.
Unless they do it very, very well, and maybe they do. So there's next year's gonna be an interesting one for Star Trek, and it kicks off with Starfleet Academy season 1 on January 15th. Do you have an opinion, theory, or wish about Star Trek that you'd like to share? Email them to me at weeklytrek@trekcore.com, and I might feature your theory in a future episode. Well, that's all the time we've got for this episode of Weekly Trek. Thank you so much to my guest, Ross Webster, for joining me today. Ross, how can people contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
I am always on Blue Sky at Taborg, TEHBORG, and always happy to talk about Star Trek in any form.
And you can find the show on X at WeeklyTrek, and me at Alexander T. Perry on X, and at Alex T. Perry on Blue Sky and everywhere else. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. And for all your Star Trek news needs, in addition to our extensive media archives of all things Star Trek, I hope you will keep your senses locked to TrekCore.com. Well, thank you, Ross. Thank you to all of my listeners. And until next week, live long and prosper. Weekly Trek is a production of TrekCore.com and owned by Trapezoid Media, LLC.